Hello, welcome. And yes, I fixed my camera. It needed a new cable. Pretty easy fix. Sorry I missed last week. I was in the States at PRI. It was a good time. I saw a lot of cars, saw a lot of interesting American happenings, which was great, and generally had a good time. Besides the fact that I think I got something stuck in my wisdom tooth and I had to go get dentistry done, which was expensive and painful. But here I am, and I'm not one to complain, though I am complaining. Did you eat a boiga? No. A boige? Are you talking about a glissy? That illegal U-turn glissy? Because I haven't. I don't really like hot dogs. Anyway, whatever. Who cares? Let's look at music stuff, I guess. Why not? That's why we're here, right? Listen to some music. All right, what do we got up first? You know, I got Fresher up first, but I don't know if Tony's in the chat. So why don't we do a cat attack? We'll do cat attack first, because cat attack is in the chat, and then we'll go from there. So oh, Tony is here. All right. Well then we'll do Tony first. Sorry for doxing your real name. All right. Let me make sure I'm not mastering anything. Of course I am, because I'm a terrible human being and I screw everything up that I'm involved in. All right, let's have a listen. Fresher that thang. Before we hit the second drop, this is sick. I am stream cutout. That is okay. I think that might be a you problem, Tony. My only gripe with this so far, it's dope, but the kick drum is very not present. It's like, where's the kick drum at? You know. Okay. So to me, it's missing a transient on the kick drum. The kick drum is thumpy enough and it's got lots of bottom end, but I think it needs more transient. There we go. Oopsies. Let's just see if I not randomly, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to go through and place a bunch of transients, but I think that the kick drum's a little too round. It's loud enough, but it doesn't have a defined edge, especially when you compare it against the snare. But anyway, besides that, I'm all in. Let's keep going. I mean, it's dope, man. I think, obviously the kick drum thing. I think you could have a chance, or there's an opportunity for you to use that lead sound, the da na 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 na, in the build up. I think the build ups were a little too not buildy uppy enough. They kind of, it's almost like the build up that you have here is like halfway through the build up already. I'm almost expecting like a section in here that's a bit more downplayed, and maybe playing with that na 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 na, maybe switch up the patch, play with the play with like some of the parameters on the synth or something, filter it out, do something. But that na 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 na, it's a really good hook, and I think using it in the drop only is not getting the most mileage out of it. Let me just make sure I'm not talking to my ass though. Yeah, like right here. I think the hook is so good, and you could use it in the non-drop sections so that, and use it in a different context. You don't just have it full strength, you know, hint at it, tease it, maybe play it on a different instrument, something like that, so that when it finally hits with the drop, it's like, I'm already familiar with this hook, I'm already familiar with this melody, but now it's got this sick beat on it. I think that is gonna make it a lot better. And then also, you can kind of see visually here that there's not a whole lot of discerning features between the build and the drop. They're almost, you know, obviously we've got thicker bass and we've got like a thicker beat, but in terms of just overall energy level, the build up is almost matching what the drop is doing. So I would probably go through and focus more on the melodic stuff as opposed to all this crazy beat happening in the build up. Focus more on the hook and playing with the hook and teasing it and stuff like that, and build it up and then smack us in the face with the drop, as opposed to having the drop already kind of at like 9/10 energy and then we go to 10/10 energy, you know? And then I see a comment come through, second drop feels a little long and one of the instruments sounds kind of whiny. So I think the way to fix that is to keep playing the hook, but play it on a different patch, or switch up the patch. You know, it sounds like... I mean, you do. It goes up an octave, I think. Yeah, but you could play with it even more. But the hook is really good, and I think you should use it in the non-drop sections in a non-drop way. Build up a little more gradually and leave a little bit more space between like your build and your drop, so that when it finally drops, it's like, holy fuck, this is like, there's that 10/10, you know? As opposed to, I do think your builds are kind of like 9 out of 10 energy, and then, you know, you add some stuff to the drop and it does go up, but it doesn't go up in the same amount. It doesn't feel as impactful as I think it could if you stripped down the build up a little bit. Not a whole lot, because I mean, like, it's cool to have it all hype all the time, but it's also cool to have that moment. And there's different ways you could do it. You could keep the build up as aggressive and then have this little fake out section and then smack us in the face with it. But I think playing around with the hook and building up a little more, whoop, you know, that's gonna make it even better. But it's really sick as is. Like, it sounds really good, and it gets me going, you know. So good job, man. Make that kick a little more transient-y, so that we can really, so that the kick and the snare kind of balance each other out. Like, there's the energy level, or the sound of the kick and the snare kind of play against each other, as opposed to the kick just being thumpy and the snare being snappy. But yeah, sick job, dude. Great song as always. Let's move on. All right, we got Coalescence, Around 11. Wow, that's off to a strong start. this is sounding sick, dude. I loaded up the one you sent a couple streams ago just to see, because I just want to see what I'm trying to see what the progression was. It sounds great. So there are some subtle changes, nothing too crazy. I think maybe the biggest change is that you extended the song, like you kept writing, but it does sound better. I can't quite put my finger on what is different here. Yeah, it almost sounds, it just kind of sounds more lively. I can't quite figure out what it is. Snares, ladder, and reverby layer. Maybe that's what it is, the reverby layer. Anyway, okay, I just want to check that out, but let's go back to this current one. So I think my biggest issue with this track is that every section sounds great. My favorite section is probably... My favorite section is probably the end, but they're all great. They all sound great. However, the arrangement doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It just kind of sounds, and I don't know if this is maybe the advice I gave you last time or not, but it just kind of sounds like a lot of really great sections put together in a not necessarily strategic way. I don't know what, and it's not to say that every track needs to have a verse and a chorus or a drop and a build and a breakdown, everything like that. But I'm just kind of, at any given point in time while I'm listening to it, if I didn't have the visual in front of me of looking at the waveform, I don't think I would be able to tell necessarily where I'm at in the track. Like, I don't, like, is this kind of like... Is this kind of the counterpart, or is this the breakdown? Like, it's kind of hard for me to tell where I'm at in the track. And I think each section kind of doing its own thing. You can almost see, it's almost like you had like one cool idea, another cool idea, another cool idea. And yeah, they're all in the same key and they're all playing like the melodic stuff and chord progressions. But I think there's a more strategic way of putting this together, I don't have the com bits yet because I keep trying to make it and then it turns into a completely new drum filled section. I know the feeling. I mean, that's a pretty typical thing as an electronic music producer. You know, you start making stuff and you're like, oh yeah, and you run with it. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, you've created 4 really great sections here. Now it's kind of like, it's time to do work. You know, now you've done all the fun stuff and you've created these 4 great, high energy, hyped up sections. Now, how do you string them together to make them sound like a journey or like a conversation or like you're trying to express something to the audience or to the listener? And that sometimes can be the hardest thing, because like, maybe you're great at making these drop sections and making really cool beats and bass lines and arpeggios and vocal chops. But now, how do you strip it back and say, okay, I've got all these tools in this toolkit now. How do I rearrange, or how do I use those tools to build a story? And a lot of the time, what I would do if I were you is I would go and try to find like the main melodic theme to the track. So there's like, to me, there's two things. there's the choppy vocal thing, right? And that's kind of a main hook and a melodic theme to the track. But then there's also this like synth solo. To me, those are like the only two melodic elements in this track. The rest is all beat, bass, and like harmonic content, like chords or arpeggios. So what I would do is I'd figure out your chord progression, and I'd find whatever you want the main melodic section to be, or the main melodic element to be, or theme or hook or whatever, right? And I would strip it right back. Have an intro, play the chords, play the melody on top of it, whether it's with the main synth or whether it's with the vocal chops or whatever it is. Chords, melody. Start building stuff up. And then build. Hit the drop. You can pull the melodic stuff out. Just do a droppy thing for a second. And then maybe the B section of the drop, you bring the melodic section back in. And then maybe there's a little switch up and it goes into a kind of like a different section of the drop. And then break it back down. Play the chords. Play the melody. Let the listener, let that sink in, you know? Okay, get that hook stuck in your head so that when I build it back up and I hit it with the drop again, all of a sudden, I know this melody, it's in my head, but now I'm rocking out to it with like a killer drop, or I'm rocking out to it with like this big, thick bass line. Like it gives it more power because you've already established, you've introduced these elements or these themes to the audience in a less aggressive scenario. You know, you're not hitting them with all of everything and the melody. You've stripped it back. You're saying, here's the melody. This is what the melody of this song is going to be. Enjoy it. Let it sink in. All right, now I'm going to build it up. Now I'm going to hit you with a big, powerful drop that either relates to that melody or directly has that melody in it. But yeah, overall, it sounds dope. All these sections sound great. It's not like you're in a bad spot. You're in a pretty good spot. And now what you got to do is just go through and string all of these elements together to create a journey from the start of the song to the end of the song, you know, have it build up, have it break down, et cetera, et cetera. All these typical kind of structural themes that people always use in tracks. You don't have to adhere to that strictly, but everybody uses these kind of these methods of stringing together ideas for a reason, because it works, right? Having introduced the theme, build anticipation, deliver on the anticipation, wait until we're ready for a break down. Maybe there's a variation on the theme or a counterpoint or something. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Great job. Now make it into a song. That's what I got. Okay, moving on. We got Dubio. Love the song isn't complete. I mainly worked on the drop. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's stop it here for a sec. I love the way that this is building. I love the chord progression, the synth plucky thing. Very, very cool. When we get to the drop, I wouldn't bring in the vocals there. It's too much. You came to where the drop is supposed to start, but you just introduced another kind of melodic or like another element, and it's too much for us to understand what's going on, right? You didn't tease that element leading up to it. I think that vocal thing would be better off like halfway through the drop as you make your drop longer, or like the B section of the drop, bring that in as like a pickup, you know? Now all of a sudden you can get more life out of your drop because you've held off on dropping this vocal thing until halfway through the drop. And there's also kind of like, there's like this pad happening. I wonder what it would sound like, and I do agree with Aiden. The drop is energy wise and amplitude wise. The drop is kind of a bit of a letdown versus the build up. But disregarding that for a second, what I would do is I'd build that all up and then strip it back to just like your kick, your bass, and that plucky. Like just focus on making like those three elements so good that they can stand on their own. Have your kick nice and powerful, have your bass nice and deep and providing that thickness, and then have that synth dun 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 dun, that plucky synth. And another thing you could do as you're building up towards the drop here, let the reverb on that plucky thing get really big, and then if this was me making this track, and this isn't necessarily the only way you could do it, but this is what I would do, is I'd let it get all messy, and then when the drop hits, strip it back, zero reverb on the plucky thing. I wouldn't put a clap in yet. I'd put a bass, a kick, and that plucky thing with absolutely zero reverb, just so that it's like and maybe strip the bass out of the build up so there's not as much bottom end. Like this. And then all of a sudden, when you come in and you drop like that, it's going to be such a nice contrast between big and messy, reverbed out, thinned out, not as much bass, blah, 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 and then drop. And it's going to be such a cool moment when all you do is kick bass and totally dry pluck. That gives you a cool starting place, right? Now all of a sudden you've got these new levers that you can pull in order to vary it and build pace, build energy. You can rock it for maybe like 8 bars or something with just kick bass, plucky synth. Maybe you bring in a hi-hat after that. Maybe you start to bring in a little bit of the reverb back to the plucky thing. Maybe as you're building towards the second half of the drop, you let it reverb out a whole bunch again, and then as you get right before you hit the second part of the drop, you mute everything and you just have that vocal thing by itself right at the very last, ba ba da ba, and then it goes back in super dry. But now we have kick, hi-hat, maybe a clap, the vocal thing, the bass, like there's ways to do this, but that's how I would approach it. You are going to have to figure out what it is that's stopping you from getting this drop section powerful in terms of energy and amplitude. As you can see what's going on here. I think this is like your build-up snare and kick are making this section really loud, and then that goes away and you've got kind of this underwhelming kick drum. But I don't know, because maybe that kick drum wouldn't be so underwhelming if you stripped out the stuff like what I was talking about, and all of a sudden you can hit the master harder and just let that rock, because the track is kind of sleepy or something, like it's got that kind of sleepy vibe to it. So it doesn't necessarily need to be like super hyped, super wow, big super saws and stuff like that. You can kind of rock that chill vibe and still have it hit hard. But yeah, that's what I would do. I think you're in a good spot. I just think that you, like I say a lot, like sometimes the delete button is the most powerful button. It's just there's too much stuff bleeding over from the build into the drop, and that vocal thing just kind of came out of nowhere. I had 2 different like vocal things. Yeah, to me that vocal thing should wait until you need something to switch up the drop to keep it rocking. You bring in, and I would, like I said, let me see if I can figure out how to demonstrate this. Okay, here's the I think this is the... What's the tempo? Oh, that's a kick. If you can tell me the tempo, that would... 128. Yeah, okay. Oh, you know what's throwing me off is that pluck is actually louder than the kick drum. Oopsies. Cat, you can fuck off with your fractionary tempos. Why am I having such a... The reason I'm having such a hard time finding the tempo on this is because normally the kick drum is like the main transient that we're seeing in a track, but like it's very quiet in this one. That sounds right though. Okay, so right here, and I would have no vocal, no vocal here, right? And then have some little thing introducing the vocal right there, and then bring the vocal in halfway through, and maybe bring it in with a hi-hat and a clap, or just a clap or something. You know, it's you've got some cool elements here, but you're gonna have to use, again, like the last track, use them a little bit more strategically. In order to make the track flow better, you know, in order to make the drop hit harder. But I really do think that if you reverb that out and as it was about to hit the drop, you dial everything right back and you just strip it down to the kick, the bass, and the pluck with no reverb, I think you'll be like, whoa, damn, you know, like I think it'll sound pretty cool. All right, that's my thought. Those are my thoughts. Thanks for sending. Let's move on to Cat Attack, City of Dreams. All right. Okay, that's how I feel about that song. Very good, very I listen, I'm glad you sent me tracks. They're enjoyable. But I don't really have anything to say about them except they're awesome. I mean, okay, maybe you could hit that master a little harder, you know? Yeah, okay. Though that's my thought, is that the track sounds dope, but you're giving up free real estate for no reason. Like you could like there's absolutely zero degradation in the sound of that. Just why not? Why not make it louder, you know? There's really no reason not to. You're not hurting anything. So if I were you, I'd just make it a little louder. But besides that, it sounds fucking dope. And you know, fuck whatever John says. He's an asshole. Okay, those are my thoughts. I'm just gonna go ahead and paste this in here just in case you want to use it as the lyrics. And also I see that there's 2 more songs, so I guess we'll grab those while we're at it. Fort Knox and Ocean 2. Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks, Kat. Great job. Let's move on. We got Evoker, the Internet. Wow. What a wild title.
Computers are supposed to make life easier. About 1 in 3 American households has bought that theory and purchased a PC. But what they didn't tell you is that life does not get easier right away. For many newcomers, PC stands for pain and confusion. It spans the globe like a superhighway. It is called the Internet.
Drop the bass, 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 bass.
All right, so let's take. Let me listen to this again.
Drop the mid-range, drop the bass, bass, bass.
So that the thing on the sides, whatever that synth is, I don't know about dropping with it. I don't know. I think it's a bit much almost. It's a bit much in that like higher mid range.
The bass, 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 bass.
It's almost like you're dropping with too much stuff, and it's not allowing me to get into the groove or the deepness of the bass. I don't know. I'd love to hear it without the meanie.
Drop the mid-range, drop the bass, 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 bass.
Or have it a little bit more sparse or something, me or something, you know, like it's just because it's there 100% of the time and it's occupying a large portion of like the high mid range and it's just there constantly, right? Between it and the snare drum, there's a lot up in that harsh range. And because that synth is like sustained the whole time, it seems a bit much to me or something. And your bass line, like this, the Reese, it has quite a bit of upper harmonics as well. So I wonder what it would sound like if you dropped without the me nee. And just used it maybe as a pickup later on, or used it a little bit more sparsely, so it's not just when it's being played, it's not 100% duty cycle, if you know what I mean.
The net is made up of some 12,000 individual computer networks. Computers, databases, and consumer electronics designed to put vast amounts of information to its fingertips. It spans the globe like a superhighway. It is home to internet.
Okay, these like Vine boom things are a bit much. You can hear them like just straight up clipping. You hear that? So I definitely be careful with that, because I think no matter how loud and aggressive you want those booms to be, having that crunchy clipping is really never desirable, I don't think. But yeah, my main thought is I don't dislike the me nee thing, but I think that it's being used. I don't know. Just try dropping without it. See what it sounds like. And then go from there. Those are my thoughts. And be careful with this kind of 5 kilohertz area. I think you're kind of pushing it in a few different elements.
It spans the globe like a superhighway.
Like those like the dialogue stuff, I'd probably chill out the high mids on those so that when you're blasting the track, those high mids aren't like destroying your ears. And just a little, like you can scoop a little bit out without ruining like the telephone thing. Oh shit. Thank you for letting me know. Has it been like that? It's been like that the whole time. I had a 1/4-inch fucking guitar cable in the other. Anyway, thanks. Sorry. I'm glad somebody pointed it out. Did that fix it, by the way? I'm assuming it did. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I think you got some cool shit in here, but I would really like to hear it without the me nee. All right, moving on. We got Swiss cheese. How long is this one gonna be? Oh, only 6.5 minutes. Wow, you really held back this time. All right, let's have a listen. So I think your piano is like really, really loud. Everything else sounds like it's underneath the piano. And I love what the piano is doing. Like the musical sense, everything in the musical sense is great. I don't think you're sidechaining the piano. Just because you have 10 dB and a 7-to-1 ratio on a compressor doesn't mean that it's working the way that you think it should. A compressor, all those things only, they're very dependent on the input level, you know? If your input level is very quiet, either on your main input or your sidechain input, you might not even be hitting the threshold, and it might be literally doing nothing. But I'm not hearing any pumping in the piano at all. To me, it's just like the piano is super up front, and everything else is just like trying to claw through the piano, you know? There's like a serious lack of bottom end in this track too. Let's see. Like I just added 8 dB of sub and it doesn't sound bad. The main chat is kind of on Twitch, but we can see everything. So they're both main chats. Yeah, I mean, like I added 8 dB below 100 hertz, and it like sounds better to me. What do you mean you don't know how? It sounds a lot more full. I don't know how. Probably because I just fixed some of the problems. What I'm doing here is trying to turn your piano down, okay? I'm just trying, because your piano is existing mostly in the frequency range, so I just went, pulled some of that out. In fact, I could probably do this with just a stereo EQ. And then I went in, I grabbed your bottom end. That sounds really wrong. I grabbed the sub range. I controlled the dynamics of it so that I could turn it up without the peaks jumping out. And then I boosted it 8 dB. Now we can finally hear the sub bass playing the bass line, you know? Also, your kick drum is quite long. It's like, and that's interacting with the bass more than I think it should. I'd shorten up the kick drum and bring the bass line up. Yeah. I can literally never hear that. I don't know what you mean by that. But anyway, that's what I would do. I'd get some more side chain going. I'd turn your piano down. I'd bring that bottom end back up, and I would hit a master limiter harder. But you know, musically, the song is great. The do 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 whatever that thing is, the synthy thing, that's sick. I would lean on that a bit more. But yeah, no comparison. I don't know. I couldn't find the file, but yeah, whatever. It sounds probably better. All right, let's move on. We got Aiden Dodge, walking through fire with a little thing at the end. All right, here we go. Let me make sure. Okay. Yeah, we're good. That's fire. So I don't dislike what the piano is playing, but I dislike the way the piano sounds. It sounds like a cheap, like, keyboard piano, and the fact that the timing and the velocity is all same. It makes it sound very like a cheap keyboard, like a Casio, whatever. Yeah, it's not necessarily the piano patch. It's just the fact that everything's like dun 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 dun. You know, like the velocity is all the same, the timing is all the same, and it's quite thin. Like there's not much bottom end to the piano.
Winter gets way too cold. Now it's time for us to change direction. We've been climbing this mountain, but my grip won't hold.
So the vocals sound, this is the best sounding vocal you have sent in to this date. So whatever you're doing on this vocal chain is much better than what you were doing before.
Gets way too cold.
What I would do though, when you bring your vocals in, strip out a bunch of these elements. There's just too much stuff going on, and then the vocals are on top of it, you know?
Winter gets way too cold. Now it's time for us to change direction. We've been climbing this mountain, but my grip won't hold. Now we've come across an intersection. Will this be our fate?
Yeah, I'd strip back a bunch of these elements. Let the vocals take the lead, and then bring some of those elements back in during this build-up section.
An intersection. Will this be our fate? Is it something that we should run and hide?
I'm going down the cue on the side. There, let me make it there.
An intersection. Will this be our fate? Is it something that we should run and hide from? Open the gates. I wanna know what I'm about to go inside of. And I think we should walk through the fire. Something at my heart, so we
Yes, I'm sitting exactly in the middle of my speakers.
an intersection. Will this be our fate?
I do think it does kind of sound like a little too.
Open the gates.
Wait a second, hold on.
Open the gates. I wanna know what I'm about to go inside of. And I think we should walk through the fire. Something at my heart, so
What do you think of the clap effect he added? I don't know what you mean by that.
is it something that open the I wanna know what I'm about to go inside of. And I think we should walk through the fire.
Again, I think when we get to this drop section, there's too many elements. It's just like there's too much. Strip some of it back. Give us the basics and the vocal.
And I think we should walk through the fire. Something at my heart. the fire. Something at my heart so eagerly desires. I wanna see.
The bass is an octave too high.
I wanna see fire, a burning sensation for me to admire. Give me everything you got, give me something really.
Maybe, I don't know. It didn't stick out to me.
Is it something that we should run and hide from? 'Cause I wanna see.
In the break. Maybe. I know what you mean. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure if I would put it down or not. I don't know. It didn't scream at me. But you could try it an octave down.
And I think we should walk through the fire. Something at my heart so eagerly desires. I wanna see if there's something on the other side. Set my heart on fire. Take me on your burning joyride. And I think we should walk through the fire. A burning sensation for me to admire. Give me everything you got. Give me something.
So I would try it an octave down. I'd give it a shot. I think my biggest thing with this is just besides the piano thing that I already mentioned, there's a lot happening, and it's kind of a bit chaotic mix wise. There's just a lot of elements in these like drop sections.
Everything you got, give me something really hot. I wanna feel a burn. Just give it a shot. And I think we should walk through the fire. A burning sensation for me to admire. Give me everything you got, give it a shot.
Yeah, like that meow meow meow, that synth thing with like the portamento meow meow thing. That and the vocal really kind of conflict in my ears, at least. I don't know. I'd start by trying to make that piano sound better. I'd try some of these bass lines an octave lower, and I'd just try muting elements during the drops or during the parts with your vocals. Just start muting shit. And all of a sudden you might be like, oh, wow, this sounds way better without that thing. Like you have so much stuff in here that it just becomes a bit of a clusterfuck on the ears because there's just so many elements. And each individual element, it sounds good, but when you start packing all these elements on top of each other, it just becomes like chaotic and you don't know what to listen to. So I would try just deleting some stuff, muting some stuff, see what, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, now I can hear that thing that sounds great because I muted this other thing that sounded great and I couldn't hear either of them because they were clashing. All right, let's listen to whatever this is.
I wanna feel the.
I also like some of those like phaser effects that kind of just screams like I'm a DJ and I'm spinning a knob. You could like use it every once in a while, but you used it twice in a drop and it just kind of, to me, it just seems a bit gimmicky. Like, check out my phaser knob,
My doctor prescribed me some of that there girthquake. I left it on the side and my dog, he ate it. He dead now.
All right, those are my thoughts. Thanks for sending. Let's move on. We got Wolf4RD. Nihilophobia. That's a cool name. Let's have a listen. So I think this is going, I think the pacing it's too slow. Like I appreciate all the stuff that's happening in this, but I'm ready for like a snare or something, you know? Make it more metal. Like they're all the elements in this are cool, but you're really riding. You're trying to get more value out of them than they're able to provide, I think. Like even just having like a simple beat would go a long way. So if we take let's figure out what tempo this is. It's 120, 130. Okay. So let's just throw in a snare. Let's just see what a snare does. What that snare do, as they say. You know, I gotta go for it. So let's just see what happens if we do this. Oh, that was a mistake on the drummer's part, not my fault. Do this. Okay. There's some snares. Okay, cool. How about like a beat of sorts. Shirt. Let me do this. Okay, so this is obviously it's too like swingy and like sloppy timing wise, but you know. Like already, like just giving some drums or even fuck a loop, even just like hi-hats. What's that sound like? Just find some random hi-hat. Sure. Like all of a sudden now you can still rely on the simplicity of it or like the minimalistic properties of it, but you know, now you can kind of play around. You can have a bit more fun. You can give a little bit more interest, a little more whatever, a little more to do. Ooh, that's actually better. Anyway, that's my point. My point with this track is it's cool. I like all the stuff that's happening, but it needs more. It just needs more development. It needs more dimension, you know? Not just boop, 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 beep. It's not enough. I need more. I need more stuff, you know? And even having like some atmospheric stuff in the background, that'd be cool too. What you have here is just it's cool, but it's a little too boring in terms of the lack of elements. It doesn't need to be all crazy with 1,000 layers or anything like that, but just a little bit more for me to like chew on. It's almost like it's like a carrot on a plate when you could have a carrot and maybe a little bit of mashed potatoes, and then all of a sudden you put a little gravy on it and that's half of a meal right there. But right now this is just a carrot on a plate and I want more. So I hope that helps. Thanks for sending. Cool. Let's move on. We got vel code select 128 beats per minute. Oh, we already know the tempo. Look at that. Like it needs drums instead. Instead of what? Mashed potatoes? Okay, here we go. Let me line it up. There we go. There must be an EQ somewhere. Good catch. Thank you. Okay, sorry. You're right. Oh, okay. That was my bad. That's what we call in the industry my bad. Let's have a listen to that again. Okay, that's definitely better. I still think though, when I first heard it, to me, all the in the mids and the high mids, there's almost too much complexity to the point where they don't really sound harmonic. They almost sound a bit white noisy. Like I don't know if there's a lot of reverb before the choppiness or something, but it like I kind of have to try to hear the harmonic content or the melody of the vocal thing. There's just a lot of like that sound. I think that it could be a little more tonal there, but now let's listen to this part. Okay, here's what I think you should do. I think that this should go. I think that should be the initial drop. All right. And then I think this could maybe be the B section. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that makes more sense to me. And I do believe you if you told me that it was the original arrangement. This makes way more sense to me. We build up, we hit with a heavy, aggressive, not super melodic kind of pedal tone, tonal drop, right? And then we elaborate. We bring back the musical element. That makes more sense to me. You could do this, you don't have to do it half as long like I just did. You could have some build elements happening halfway through there to kind of like, oh, okay, we're moving towards something, right? But I think this is almost objectively the better arrangement. And I agree with Cody, but I mean, I'm a little limited on my editing abilities with just the master, right? I think this is obviously doesn't flow that great because I'm just cutting and pasting and slicing things around. But I think generally speaking, this is the better arrangement. And then you just got to make the effects and make the dropouts and the drum fills and stuff reinforce or complement this new arrangement, or I guess technically the old arrangement. But if you were going back and forth between these two arrangements, I would go with this arrangement. Hold on. Is that right here? Again, just do the same drop, but just add some variety. Like, it's going to be way better. Let me just do this. You know what you could even do for this, to switch this drop up? Add a clap. Oh my God, add a clap. Crazy, you know? I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to pick the best clap, but you'll get the idea. Like, literally, that could be the difference. whatever claps there, you know? To me, this is the greater arrangement. You have a build up, you have this like cool breakbeat section, wherever it is. You drop into an aggressive drop, then you go melodic. Then you break down, you build back up, you drop to an aggressive drop that's slightly different, then you go melodic. Besides that, sounds great, dude. I think that's the way to go, though. All right, cool. Thanks for sending. Let us move on. We got Tact and Chext and Miazra. Wow, those were all hard to say. Well, Tact was fairly straightforward. Anyway, let's listen to this one. Okay, so this is following the theme of the day, where there's just a lot of stuff on top of each other. The vocals are totally buried. I'm assuming one of these three people that are on the track are the vocalist, so it's not like, I'm assuming like the vocals are important and not just kind of like a background element. I would strip things back and just have like the beat and the bass and the vocals or something. Let the vocals cut through, right? I honest to God didn't understand a single word she said. But you've got this wall of sound, and the vocals are totally competing with it, and they're losing that competition. Same as here. You got that like that big reverbed out. It sounds kind of like it's based on a vocal, but it's like it's being played like a synth melody. It's cool, but there's just so much happening up in the top end of this track that it's kind of hard to listen to any one thing. So I think it's quite even. It's quiet even for background. Yeah, I think this is another one of those tracks where you got to go and start deleting things. You know, go like carve out a section. Be like, this is where the vocals are gonna really shine, and I'm gonna make this section for the vocals. I'm going to strip back everything that fights the vocals, anything, even if it's the clap. Maybe I use a smaller snare or something in this section. I want the vocals to cut through in this section. Then I want it to build up. Then I want this next section to be the like the melody thing and the big wall of sound kind of beat thing happening. Sure. Let that happen, but don't also play the vocals underneath that because it's kind of pointless. It just sounds like noise because there's so many elements added on top of each other. I had to repost mine to follow the name format. Oh, I don't care, but that's fine. I already got yours in here. Anomaly? Isn't it? Or did I already grab it? Whatever. It's fine. Yeah, that's my biggest thing with this track is that you got a lot of elements and they're all residing in the same area code, right? You gotta carve out sections for these things and be a little bit more strategic with where you use each section. Because if you just dump everything on top of each other, they could all be great sounds. But all of a sudden, it just sounds like a big bucket of paint that's been mixed together. I appreciate it. We'll let it slide this time. But yeah, I mean, like this track has lots of cool melodic content. I like the track. It's just it's like you've condensed the entire song into like 1 minute, you know, when you should be like using sections more strategically. Here's the vocal section. Here's the big wide open beat section. Now I'm going to chill it right down, take the drums completely out, have the Reese bass line and a little shaker so that the vocal can just like do its thing and cut right through. Then I'm going to build up and go back into this big wide open beat. So it's just about being a bit more strategic with when and how you use each element and what elements are agreeing with each other, what elements are able to coexist, and which elements really need their own sections so that they can cut through. Okay, cool. That's what I got. Let's move on to 720 Bulls on Parade remix. All right. It's a 1988 Strat HM. Heavy metal edition, baby. Here we go. That was wild. I like how the frequency response of the track just like goes up into the radio frequencies. Like I'm sure we were transmitting some radio frequency information there. This is crazy and loud, and I think it could be a little less noisy, I guess is the word I would use. I think what I would say is if it's going to be a Bulls on Parade remix, I'd like for there to be a little bit more of the Bulls on Parade in there, right? Because right now it's like super aggressive dubstep, and then there's like the breakdown has some Bulls on Parade, but like, excuse me. Like, what if every once in a while we got the like, I don't know, just like base it a little bit more on the track. Otherwise, it kind of just sounds like you took like this aggressive, heavy dubstep track and just like transplanted the Rage Against the Machine audio onto it. And that doesn't necessarily make a good remix. That's just kind of like, oh, hey, this kind of works, you know? Like, obviously, yeah, there's Rage Against the Machine in this section, but Like I get it, like the synth is kind of doing the wow wow pucka wow wow pa. I get that, but what about like the down 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 down? What about that part? You know, like incorporate a bit more of the original track, and it doesn't not necessarily you incorporate the audio from the track. Maybe the synth goes down 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 down. You know that I think that would be cool. Down, 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 down. Do I still remember how to play that? Nope. Anyway. Whoopsies. That's what I think. And also the track is just generally like really, really loud in the top end. I don't know if that's a problem because it's kind of the style. Don't laugh at me, Bleed. I used to know how to play it. And I think when it like I kind of missed when I heard it the first time, I kind of missed the bow wow pa pa pow wow pa 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 because it does that kind of quick little it does the thing that's not in the original. Like right here. That da-da-da, maybe don't do the da-da-da. So it's more, it follows the original more. It's bow wow, pa-pa bow wow, pa-pa 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 bow wow, pa-pa bow wow, pa-pa pa-pa pa-pa. I don't know. The more I listen to it, the more I hear the track in there, you know, but I still think it could be a bit more obvious and it could reference back to the original song a bit more in how you play it. But it's cool, and I appreciate a Rage Against the Machine remix anytime I hear it. So thanks for sending. What's this little thing? The tiniest of clicks. Very nice. Wow. Sorry for promotion for your channel. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to Reese Griaz. This is sick. I like this style. It's cool. I would say the vocal thing that kind of sounds like a girl, but I can't really tell. To me, again, and this is a common theme today, the vocal is just not really cutting through at all. It's buried underneath all these massive things, and to me, why have it if it's buried? You know, like you either gotta figure out how to make it cut through, or figure out a section where you reduce everything so the vocal can cut through and then hit us with all the loud beats. But to play the vocal like that underneath the beat just kind of seems like a waste to me. Like there's a lot of like that thing is so loud, you know, and especially during this section, because this is kind of like a build, right? So you have to make a call. If you want those vocals to be in there, you gotta sacrifice some of the loudness and some of the other elements so that they can cut through. And the pan, that transient thing is very loud, and it could just straight up come down, and I don't think it's gonna really hurt anything, and that might allow the vocal to cut through more. Or take that out, let the vocal do its thing, and then build up, and then hit us with the thing. Because that thing is kind of hard on the ears too. Like I think regardless of what you do with the vocals, even if the vocals weren't there, I'd probably tell you to turn that thing down because it's very... But I love the wonkiness, and overall I love the track. I'd probably bring the clap when you get to the 4 to the floor section. That clap sounds sick, but I think it should come up a bit. Paka 222, or whatever you make of the sick drop element. What would make a sick drop element? Yeah. And also, I'm a little torn on some of the timing. Like specifically this right here. It feels early or something. I know there's like a wonky kind of swing to the whole track. There's some notes or some rhythms that just feel a little too wonky in the wrong direction. Like usually you can get away with stuff being late, but it almost sounds like it's early. Let me figure out what tempo is it? 127? 130? Looks like 130. You know what I think it is? I think your main elements that you can see that they don't have any swing because they're landing right on, you know, like dun dun. That doesn't have swing, but I think some of your ducka 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 things have a lot of swing. I think there might be conflicting swing profiles, you could say. Oh yeah, this definitely is like super swamp. Chicka chicka. It's very chicka chicka, but then the drums are bump bump bump. They're straight, and I don't know if that's like intentional, but to me it kind of threw me off because it's very swingy, but then the drums are just straight don don don. You know, like there's no swing to them, and you can, and it ends up kind of flamming because, like, to me, this if you followed the swing of the other elements, this would be more like that, right? As opposed to... But that's the thing. There's some elements that are really swingy, and then there's the big hits like this that are straight on the grid. And I think that's what I'm hearing that's throwing me a bit off. And maybe that's supposed to be that way. I don't know. But I would think it would be at least worthwhile to make all of the drums have the same swing so that these hits, because right off the bat, me just doing that doesn't sound wrong. It still sounds good besides the little weird clip thing there, right? Oops. I personally would try to make sure all of your percussion stuff is swung the same, and I think the track will all of a sudden come to life. It'll lose some of the wonkiness, which is, I like the wonkiness, but I think it'll lose the bad wonkiness and only maintain or retain the good wonkiness. So I'd make sure those vocals are cutting through, even if that means stripping out some of the elements from just straight up deleting some of the elements or turning them down or whatever. I'd sort out the swing so that everything is kind of swinging the same, you know, because if you have like half of your percussionists in this imaginary band that's happening swinging it real hard, and then you have like some white dude just like not swinging it at all, then do those two things, should they be in the same song or should they be playing the same rhythm? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it would sound better if you fixed all the swings so that they're all the same swing. And then I would turn your clap up a bit when it gets to the 4 to the floor section. And then I would bring down some of those percussion thingies that are like absolutely smoking your master limiter. But overall, very cool style. I dig the track. Thanks for sending. All right. We got MJ December Draft. Is that like a beer that you have in December? Who knows? Let's have a listen. I would probably start the track like this. Or even like this. So I think the piano part is a bit buried in these sections. And same with that synth. I think overall the 80, like the sub bass 808 thing is really like by far the loudest element in the track. Like if you listen to what I just did, let's have a listen again, and I'll bypass it, go back and forth. So I pulled out 6 dB of your sub range and then just kind of brought the volume up with this master limiter. But yeah, I think if you brought that sub bass down a lot and your drums down a lot too, all of a sudden the track is going to come to life a lot more, because all the cool little melodic stuff is going to sound much less weak and like in the other room. So yeah, that's what I got. I think that the track could be developed a little bit more, you know. I feel pretty strongly that that intro was kind of not the way to go, because I think almost everybody would probably just skip the intro at that point. It's just low pass beat and then a low pass that's slowly opening up. It doesn't capture, we're not invested in the track at that point. So why would we wait 30 seconds of low pass stuff? You know, you got to kind of manage your expectations. Like, you got to get us hooked. And then maybe halfway through the track, after we're invested in the track and we're emotionally on board, now you can maybe get away with stuff like that. But right off the top of the track, it's almost like walking up to somebody on the street and asking them for money, as opposed to gaining their trust over years of friendship and then asking them for money. You know, he's a lot more effective. Anyway, yeah. Those are my thoughts. I think it's a cool track. Lots of great stuff happening. I think you should keep going on it, but definitely bring that 808 and the drums down quite a bit so that the rest of the track can have a fighting chance. All right. What do we got next? Kadia, Rain Turns into Storms. Have we heard this one before? This kind of reminds me of like a Muse. There's a Muse song that starts out with this like beautiful, almost choral kind of thing happening. Sounds good so far.
I kept it cradled up inside me, drop by drop, so blue with life, until an ocean could provide me with everything I need for paradise. Only some can see me when I cry. Can you leave me? 'Cause my garden's full of thorns, and rain turns into storms. Rain turns into storms. Heart is bruised and torn. Rain turns into storms. They left me scarred and hollow, took my blood and sold it for a price, with nothing for tomorrow. The plastic promises I swallow. Now I'm left with restless winds and breathless skies. Only some can feel me, look beyond to see the real me. Only some are willing to pay the price to try and heal me. Rain turns into storms. Heart is bruised and torn. Rain turns into storms. Rain turns into storms. I know exactly what I'm crying. There's a tidal wave behind it, and I can't hold it back. Rain turns into storms. You caused a chain reaction, killing me by fractions, till my defenses finally crack. Rain turns into storms.
This is great. This track is great. The main vocal is the harmonies on the sides and stuff. They sound nice and bright and everything, but this main one, it's really heavy. You can see it in the frequency spectrum here,
Turns into storms.
like right here.
Turns into storms. Turns into storms. Rain turns into storms.
Like this is the kind of curve that you might want to try unless for some reason you have done some processing that caused this. So if you might have just recorded a little too close to the mic or maybe the mic choice or the room or something, but something is causing it to lack top end and be very resonant down in the bottom fundamental area.
Turned into storms.
Like if you compare that,
Turned into storms.
it's almost like I got water in my ears or something. Like the fundamental is very present. But like this, I wouldn't say this is the fix, but this made it 100 times better. This sort of aggressive curve.
Turned into storms. Rain turns into storms. Rain turns.
The harmonies sound fucking amazing though.
Rain turns into storms. 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 Rain turns into storms.
So my next thing is the bass is kind of, I don't know where the bassist was. Was the bassist in the bathroom when we recorded this? Like there's a lack of bass. Let me see here. Like maybe it's an octave up. I had to unplug my keyboard. There's no bass really. Well, that explains it. Let's see if we just there's a cello and a double bass at the very end. So really just having a sub bass, there's lots of elements that are all kind of playing well together. It just needs that fundamental frequency, right? So if we take this and okay, so it's G.
Rain turns into storms. Rain turns into storms.
And I'm just playing, like, basically, it doesn't need to be a fancy bass. It could just be a sustained sub bass. Like this is just a triangle and a square wave or something with probably an EQ. I don't even remember. But if I just, let's do this. Just me playing that, all of a sudden the track just came to life. So let me remember how to use fucking FL Studio. That would be great. What in the hell is this MIDI? Let's make a new MIDI pattern. Okay, so it's G and then A, I think, and then back to G, like G A G A, Gaga, piano roll, and like there's no fancy bass happening. This is just literally just like a bass. Oh my god, it just like the track just absolutely came to life by doing that. Like let's hear it with this too. Check this out.
Rain turns into storms. 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 Rain turns into storms.
Like all of a sudden, it's like you have your whole track figured out, but then from 100 hertz down it's almost like you just forgot to do that section, right? And that's really what builds that foundation. So this is super simple to fix, you know? Let's see. Where else can we put this? I don't know what the tempo is. I don't have the tempo right. That's why my MIDI didn't work right. Let's go like this. Let's figure this out. I'm sure you could probably tell me, but I'm 140. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So 140. There we go. So
Rain turns into storms. Rain turns into storms.
now let's try this at a couple other sections.
Rain, leave me, 'cause my garden's full of thorns. And rain turns into storms. Rain turns into storms. Heart is bruised and torn.
Okay, now you really had to get tricky, eh? Got to switch it up, so I got to figure out the.
Leave me storms. Rain turns into storms.
See.
Heart is bruised and torn.
D, I think.
Rain turns into storms.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
And rain turns into storms. Rain turns into storms.
Your reverse symbol here doesn't end at the right spot. It kind of trails over past where it should.
Storms.
Because I think it should go onto the downbeat, right? But it kind of trails a little bit past.
Storms. Heart is bruised and torn. Rain turns into storms. They left me scarred and hollow. Took my blood and sold it for a price. With nothing for tomorrow. The plastic promises. The plastic promises I swore.
So yeah,
Only some can feel me. Look beyond to see the real me. Only some are willing to pay the price to try and heal me. Rain turns into storms. Heart is bruised and torn. Rain turns into storms. Rain turns into storms. I know exactly what I'm crying. But there's a tidal wave behind it, and I can't hold.
anyway, you get the point. It sounds a fucking trillion times better with some bass in there. So I think what you got to do is either re-record those main vocals or figure out how to make them not so almost nasally or like fundamentally. You know, you need to get them sounding more along the lines of how the harmony vocals sound. Then you got to add in some sub bass in, and you know, the sub bass all of a sudden really drives home like this is the chorus. I mean, we know it's the chorus because you've got like the harmonies and everything too, but all of a sudden it's like we slip into a warm bath. We're like, you know, there's that bass. So you can kind of play with where do you use the sub bass, where do you not use the sub bass, and you can use that to control the energy level or the anticipation, that sort of stuff, right? And then I do think you're going to have to expand your drum library. The drums don't sound bad, but they just kind of sound like drums that came with whatever software you're using, you know, like you're going to have to go on Prime Loops or Loop Masters or Splice or something and just start finding some better sounding drum samples that have a bit more oomph to them and less just kind of like, here is bare minimum hi-hat sound. Yes, this is a hi-hat, you know, yes, this is a crash cymbal, and yes, this is a snare. But if you're gonna be producing, this is totally great as a demo, but if you want this to be like full start to finish, you do everything, you're gonna have to expand your drum library. It's not necessarily just a mixing thing or, you know, I don't know how to use a compressor or something. It's none of that. The drum samples that you're using are just a little basic, you know, they're a little too normal, you know, they don't have a lot of character to them, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Rain turns into storms. Rain turns into storms.
But like, I like that snare is cool. That's like an 80s sounding snare. Not all the drum samples are like that. I think it was mostly just in the verse section.
They left me scarred and hollow. Took my blood and soul.
I think it's like the toms and the hi-hats, and also adding reverb, that amount of reverb to the hi-hats kind of accentuates that kind of bare minimum drum sample sound, I guess, if that makes sense. So I would just start collecting more drum packs. I mean, even to this day, I still will buy probably 20 drum packs a year, even though I have, you know, hundreds of thousands of every type of drum sound you could ever want. But I think that's my advice for this track is, first of all, make the vocals sound better, which we know that you can do. This vocal almost sounds like the vocals you were sending like a year ago. So whatever you've been doing to get away from that real fundamental loudness, resonance in the bottom end, do that. Add the sub bass, and then just start collecting drum samples. Go on, and I use Prime Loops, Loop Masters, Wave Alchemy. Those are like the three main ones that I use, and just go on them and just buy some drum samples, buy some loops, cut them up. But yeah, it's honestly a great track. And when I heard it with that sub bass, I was like, fuck yeah. So do that. All right, cool. Thanks for sending. Great job. We got, what's next? Ice Kayab and Prisma. Muerto. Sounds good. Always a pleasure. All right, we got, I think that's death in Spanish. Let's go. I wonder how loud and aggressive this one's going to be. Let me make sure I'm not doing shit. Yeah, look at that. I knew it. I knew I fucked something up. All right, here we go. So I think what I would say for this one is when you get to the drop, I think I would like to hear the da na 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 na, but in the synth, like make the synth mimic what the guitar is playing a little bit more. Evoker you did, but you'll be able to catch it on you can just scroll through the YouTube video after we're done streaming and find yours. Yeah, because I really like the guitar thing. And it would be so cool if now when it drops, it's basically instead of the guitar playing it, it's like the synth playing it. It kind of is playing some of the same stuff, but I don't know. I think it should be more... The da na 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 na. It should be that with the synth. I think that would be cool. I kind of feel like it needs some like screamo vocal or something on it, you know, at least right before the drop. Like Overkill by Riot. Who did Overkill? That song Overkill. Anyway, they have like this like the screamo thing right before the drop, and that would get me pretty hyped up right before it's like headbanging material. And then you got to be careful with this frequency. I did like that crazy whatever that thing is. See, if I dip, like, if I dip that down a bit, we're not really losing any value, but all of a sudden it's just easier on the ears. And whatever that, it might be a little too loud. But for a start of a track, I think this is sounding pretty cool. The strongest part, I think, is the guitar riff. So I would lean heavily on that and play, just see what it sounds like if you straight up play note for note the guitar riff with the synth during the drop. See what it sounds like. Maybe it'd be cool. Then maybe you can kind of add some variety from there, but start with the riff because the riff is like the strongest part. All right, cool. Let's move on. We got track 12 with a whip at the end. Wow. Buddy cheating the system over here. Let's get rid of this. And I probably didn't do anything else. Yeah, I did. Okay, let's have a listen. This has got to be Cryotest. It almost sounded like it is Cryotest. It almost sounded like Kadia was on the vocals. So this is great as always, and I think Cryotest took my advice to try and push things a little louder, and I think you might have went a little too loud in these sections, especially with those cymbal swells. Those cymbal swells were a little painful on the ears, but overall, this is much louder and more present than the normal submissions that we get from Cryotest. It's incredibly musical. I am a mere peasant when it comes to music versus this guy. So yeah, I would just be careful. See where we're hitting up here. Okay, that's not too bad. It's mostly the cymbal swells. You can even see on the spectrogram that part that extends past the 20 kilohertz, that's the clipping of the cymbals as they hit the limiter really hard. And those are those extra, I mean, they're inaudible, but that shows you how much clipping is happening. Musically, I would say this is great. I applaud the attempt at making it louder. It is definitely louder, and for the most part, you're bang on. It's just you got to be careful during some of these crazy dynamic swings that kind of are inherent to this type of music. This, especially with the cymbal swells, you're kind of just pushing it a little too loud there. Let's listen to this last bit. Dude, is this fucking Ghostbusters 2044? Wow. This is what happens when Mozart hits that dab pen. This is sick, dude. I didn't know you made music besides fucking soundtrack stuff. This is cool. It does remind me of like the old Goosebumps TV show. But hey, I'm into it, man. That was sweet. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Last couple ones here. Ocean 2. I think there's one other one we'll sneak in. There's two. Whatever. A little late to the party, but we'll sneak you in. Okay, we got Ocean 2.
I hear the waves coming to me, watch me break free.
Pages of our history, a tale unfolds, a symphony. The notes are soft, the rhythm true, in the melody of me and you.
I hear the waves coming to me, watch me break free. It gives me life and makes me breathe, watch me break free. Surfing in the ocean, the freedom makes me open. Call me to the sea. Watch me break free. Watch me break free. Watch me break free.
Don't be afraid. Get lost. Get found. And do it again.
Break the chains.
Through pages of our history, a tale unfolds, a symphony.
That was wild. Holy shit. It's funny how slow this sounds back here versus this tempo change. I don't know how a tempo change would work in a DJ setting. I feel like that would maybe be a point of contention. I honestly don't. I don't even know what to say about this. I mean, like, it's actually like structured pretty well. I like the structure. I was in, you know, and I know that I was also kind of drawing in MS Paint, but at the same time, the structure didn't bore me. Nothing stuck out to me. I don't know if I have any feedback for this one. I think it's fucking wild and I enjoyed it. I don't know how the tempo change would work for a DJ. I feel like that would kind of mess things up, but I appreciate it. And as a listener, it was interesting. Maybe have like a radio edit with the tempo change and then have like a DJ edit without the tempo change if you want hardstyle DJs to play this. It's a cool track. It's not, I don't know what to say, and I'm sorry, but I enjoyed it. So thank you for sending. All right. We got Fort Knox Anomaly. Suddenly this seems so chill. Okay, this is sick. Very good job. I think mostly like mastering notes. Like I got like 5 dB out of it for free, basically. Or maybe get a bit more bass spam in the second drop. I do find like your main synth sound is a little bit harsh in that high mid. It's not bad though. It just needs a little taming in the high frequency range. Is this another? No way, 2 in a row. What's this one called? 4 knocks. I swear to God. Oh, 2 in a row. We got 2 128-bit per minute. Ugh. You know what? There you go. I'm not gonna redraw it. Maybe that could be contributing to the that could be contributing to that harshness in the high mids, the fuckery of the MP3ness. Render it out in 320, people. Considering that it's a 128, it sounds pretty damn good. But for the most part, my notes are, I've got 2 notes. It could go harder in the master. Like you see, I just pulled another 5.5 dB of loudness out of it for basically free. There's no real downside. I sent the YouTube rip shit. And then my other note is this outro is fucking, it's so weak compared to the rest of the track. I know it's just an outro, but I don't know. I understand the idea of a DJ outro, but it's just it just goes from like being like badass and like rocking to just like, here we go. Here's a drum beat. I don't know. You got to figure out some way of having a few more elements maybe bleed over into the outro so that as the DJ's mixing, there's still some like information from the track bleeding through, whether it's like, nah, that's the thing. You send in a 128, this is your punishment. We need to make sure that you never do that again. So I refuse to load your high quality. You're gonna have to do that shit next week. That's the punishment for sending in low bit rate. And it's tough love. I'm doing it for your own good. Okay, because if you just knew, oh, whatever, if I send in a low one, I can send in a high one and he'll just play it. Nah, fuck that. There has to be consequences to your actions, and these are the consequences. Anyway, it's a sick track. I would try to figure out how to your intro and outro. Yeah, you could do that. I understand at the same time that like usually in an intro or an outro, you kind of want to remove like melodic stuff in case it's a key change, but the intros and outros don't hold a candle to like the main drops. So like figure out some way to make the intros and outros just a little bit more interesting and badass because if this is going to be like the track on Spotify, unless you have some sort of edit, but even if it's going to be the track on Beatport, like when you first listen to this track, it just does not represent how good this. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't, it just kind of sounds like it just sounds like an afterthought, like, oh, fuck, I got to make an intro and outro. That's what it sounds like to me. So I would spend some time on the intro and outro, and then I would hit the master a little harder. And besides that, sounds great. All right, let's undo all this shit, listen to the last couple tracks, and then get on with our weekend. Okay, and then... Yeah. But even for the extended mix, it's still kind of a cop-out, you know? It's still... Just put a little more effort into the intro and outro is what I'm saying. Add a little bit more ear candy, reference some of the shit that's going to happen in the song or that has already happened in the song if it's the outro. Just make it a little bit less like meh. Anyway, okay, cool. Let's listen to drum roll. I swear to God if this is a fucking drum roll. Also, I swear to God if this is 128 beats per minute or 28 kilobits per second. It's not 128, but it's 192. So suddenly 192 kilobits per second seems great. I really like the sound of this drum beat. It sounds cool and kind of gritty and has lots of character, but at the same time, We can't have this long of a drum beat with nothing else. Like why, like I'm just gonna skip that, you know? Like add some atmosphere, add some little percussion thing that comes in, like just add a bit more interesting stuff. Okay, this is actually pretty dope. This reminds me of like something that would be on an old techno record, you know? I do think that this first, I don't know, maybe this is like a DJ thing, but dude, this is sick. This is a sick techno track. It's really good, except everything up to here, it just like I get it. I understand how it goes, but like tease us with some vocals. Like it sounds like you spent all your time in this and then you just did this real quick, you know? And considering a lot of people are going to start the track listening to this stuff, it's not an accurate representation. Like I was very underwhelmed until we got, and then I was like all in. I know it's very repetitive, but it's also techno. This is kind of how it goes, you know? You could switch it up a little bit more. You could add in some percussion, take away some percussion stuff to remove some of the repetitivity. Wow, that's a new word. But I have no problem with the repetitiveness of this. What I do have a problem with is how lackluster this chunk is versus the rest of the track. I honestly, if it wasn't for this being my stream where I listen to a track, I would have just skipped it. I wouldn't have listened to the track. But because I want to listen to the track to give you advice, I stuck with it and I got to this part. And then by this point, I was like, fuck yeah, I would play this, you know? So I would try to make this section, you could keep it in the realm of DJ intro, you know, the technical limitations of what you need the DJ intro and outro to do. But that doesn't mean you can't add in ear candy and tease some of the things. Let us know what's to come, you know, because however you want to put it, however you want to take this advice, this part I didn't like. I was like, okay, it's all right. But once I got here, I was like, hell yeah, I'm in, you know? So however you want to interpret that advice, this section was just like, I was like, sick. This is a cool drum beat. I'm into this drum beat, but it just did the drum beat for a while, you know? And I was like, okay, what's next? Yeah, I mean, like you got,
That's why I just can't let you down.
You got like this sick vocal thing. Why not chop it up, tease us? And before this section, why not throw it in? Okay, what's the tempo? It's probably like, let's see. The tempo. 126? Whoopsies. Yeah, okay. So like, why not this? Why not do this? Oh shit, my bad. Oh, it's right here. That's why. Let's take this. More effects, you know, effects go a long way. Take an afternoon and just do effects to this. Add effects, add swooshes and uplifters and downlifters and all that shit, right?
That's why I just can't let you down. That's why I just can't. That's why I just can't. That's why I just can't.
You know, just shit like that. And like swooshes and ups and downs and a little, like just shit. Just more shit so that I'm interested. And then when we get to here, whatever. The rest is fucking sick. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thanks for sending. All right, we got respect for edit. And I saw Buddy was asking me many times, more shit to make it less shit. That's the shit. That's great. That's actually very accurate. All right. Let's undo all this shit. Speaking of shit. And yes, 16-bit 44 kilohertz wave is perfectly fine. Whoever was asking. Okay, let's have a listen. This is the last one of the day. Have you sent this one in before? It sounds vaguely familiar. That kick drum is fucking aggressive. Like, so loud. And then, how loud the kick is versus how not loud the snare is not ideal, I think. Unless sometimes there's like certain styles of music where I'm like, oh, this doesn't sound right. And they're like, well, no, that's the style or whatever. So whatever, that's fine. But to me, let's just find, where I could, what is that called? Sure, maybe something like this. Like, to me, the snare just doesn't hold up. What is it, 150 or something? Where's the down? Okay, so that's the downbeat. $145? 142. Okay. So it's not the right snare, but that sounds a bit better. I think the snare should have more presence, especially considering how absolutely massive the kick drum is. And I feel like you've sent this in before because I feel like I have already done this exercise of trying to find where the snares are. I remember it being kind of like a broken up kind of beat. The beat's cool, the music's cool, everything's cool, but just the balance of kick to snare is not doing it for me. Oh, let's... Wait, was that a Trapaholics? Hooah! Yeah, okay, so make the snare have more punch and more presence in the track, and then get like a UK rapper dude on it, and then done deal. That's really all I have for this track. It's the kick. I would probably bring the kick down a little bit, but maybe that's a style thing. Yeah, the snare just needs to pull its weight a little bit more in the mix, and it currently isn't. All right, that's it. Cool. So thank you for hanging out once again for hours on end with me in the studio. It is some of the most socializing that I do these days. So have a good weekend. I love you all, and I hope that you enjoyed. Okay, bye.